So Netflix fantasy shows. This is a category that has genuinely surprised me over the last few years, because for a long time, fantasy on streaming felt like a gamble. You'd see a cool premise, get excited, and then the execution just didn't deliver. But lately, Netflix has been putting out some fantasy content that I genuinely love recommending. Just somebody who watches way too much TV so you don't have to waste your time on the wrong stuff. And today I've got 6 Netflix fantasy shows I want to walk you through. Some you've probably heard of, some you may have completely missed. All the stream availability info for every show in this video, that's in the first pinned comment below. Go check it out. Let's get into it. Now, I want to start with a show that I was genuinely skeptical about going in. Live-action anime adaptations have a rough track record. Most of them, honestly, are pretty bad. So when Netflix announced they were doing a live-action version of one of the most beloved anime properties of all time, I had real concerns. A lot of people did. But then this show came out and something interesting happened. It was actually good. Like, genuinely, surprisingly, enjoyably good. And I think a big part of why it works is that the creator of the original manga, Eiichiro Oda, was closely involved with the production. You can feel that in the final product. It doesn't feel like a cash grab. It feels like people who actually cared about the source material made something that honors it while also working as a live-action show. The lead performance from Iñaki Godoy is charming and energetic. He captures the spirit of the character in a way that could have easily gone wrong. And the world they've built around him is colorful and immersive and genuinely fun to spend time in. Now, if you've never seen the anime or read the manga, you don't need any prior knowledge. This works as a starting point. And if you're a longtime fan, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by how respectfully it's handled. 2 seasons are up on Netflix right now. It's called One Piece.
This next one is a Norwegian show, so yes, you'll be reading subtitles. I want to get that out of the way up front, because I know some people tune out immediately when they hear that. Don't. This one is worth it. RAGNAROK is set in a small Norwegian town that's slowly being poisoned by industrial pollution, climate change, corporate corruption, real, grounded stuff. And then layered on top of all of that is this Norse mythology framework, where a teenage boy discovers he's the reincarnation of Thor. Not the Marvel version, the old version, the mythological version. And the show takes that seriously in a way that actually makes it more interesting. What I find compelling about this show is the way it balances these two very different things, this very modern, very real environmental crisis, and this ancient mythological battle between good and evil, and makes them feel like the same story. Because in a way, they kind of are. It's slow-paced, very Scandinavian in that regard. It's building towards something, and it takes its time getting there. But if you're patient with it, there's a real payoff. 3 seasons, it's a complete story, and it's on Netflix right now. That show is RAGNAROK. I'll be upfront with you, this one only got 1 season, and that genuinely bothers me. It's based on a graphic novel by Charles Forsman, and it stars Sophia Lillis as a teenage girl who's dealing with a lot. Family stuff, figuring out her identity, the general chaos of high school, and also discovering that she has superpowers she doesn't understand and can't really control. And here's what I liked about it. The superpowers aren't really the point. They're more like an externalized version of all the emotional intensity that comes with being 17. The show is really more about the internal experience of that age than it is about the supernatural elements. Sophia Lillis is really good in this. She carries it well. And the tone is this interesting mix of dark comedy and genuine emotional weight that I thought worked. Now, the reason it only got 1 season is bad timing. Pandemic, production issues, scheduling complications. And it's a shame because you can feel the show building towards something bigger. It ends in a place that very much wants to continue. 7 episodes, short, you can finish it in a day. Worth it even knowing it ends incomplete. That show is I Am Not Okay With This.
This one I want to recommend with a specific caveat, because I think if you go in with the right expectations, you'll have a really good time with it. Wu Assassin stars Iko Uwais, and if you've seen The Raid, you already know why that casting matters, as a chef in San Francisco who discovers he's part of an ancient lineage of warriors tasked with keeping powerful supernatural forces out of dangerous hands. The story has some clunky moments, I'm not going to pretend it doesn't, but the fight sequences are exceptional. Iko Uwais is one of the best physical performers working in action right now, and the choreography in this show is genuinely impressive. It's the kind of action where you can see everything that's happening, which sounds like it should be the baseline, but a lot of shows and movies can't even manage that. If you're going into this for a tight, sophisticated narrative, you might be disappointed. If you're going in because you want to watch some of the best martial arts action you'll see on a streaming platform with a fun, supernatural fantasy premise wrapped around it, this delivers. One season, easy binge, worth your time if you're an action fan. That show is Wu Assassins.
I can't do this.
You must.
Now, this one has been on Netflix for a while, but I still think it's underseen and underappreciated, so I want to make sure I put it on your radar. This is not the Sabrina the Teenage Witch you grew up with. That version was a lighthearted sitcom. This version goes deep into occult mythology, satanic imagery, dark moral philosophy. It's a genuinely mature take on the character, and it's created by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, who's the chief creative officer at Archie Comics and the same person behind Riverdale, so you'll notice some tonal similarities there. What I think this show does well is that it takes its premise seriously. It's not winking at the camera. It commits to this dark, stylized version of Sabrina's world and builds a rich mythology around it over 4 seasons. The lead performance is strong, the supporting cast is great, and the show keeps finding ways to escalate and surprise you. And I'll say this, if you're a fan of Wednesday, the Tim Burton show on Netflix, you should know that Chilling Adventures of Sabrina essentially paved the way for that. Same aesthetic territory, and honestly, this one deserves credit for getting there first. 4 seasons, all on Netflix. We're starting from the beginning. That show is Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Then there's this one. I want to read you the premise of this show because I think it's important that you hear it stated plainly. A young woman wakes up in a morgue with superpowers and a sacred artifact embedded in her back, and it turns out she is now the chosen member of an ancient secret order of demon-fighting supernatural nuns. That's the show. That's what it is, and I genuinely love it for committing fully to that. Warrior Nun is based on a comic book called Warrior Nun Ariella, and the show does a good job of building out that mythology in a way that feels expansive and interesting rather than campy or silly. There's actual emotional depth to the main character's journey. She wakes up with no context, no preparation, and has to figure out who she is and what this new life means. And that arc is genuinely engaging. The action is fun, the world building is solid, and the show keeps raising the stakes in directions you won't necessarily see coming. 2 seasons, both on Netflix. This is a very bingeable show, the kind where you watch one episode and then suddenly it's several hours later. It didn't get the audience it deserved when it was airing, so I'm always glad to have a chance to point people toward it. That show is Warrior Nun. I think you'll enjoy it. Alright, so that's 6 Netflix fantasy shows I genuinely recommend. As always, all the stream availability info is in the first pinned comment below. Go check that out if you're trying to figure out where to start. If you're new here and this kind of recommendation video is useful to you, subscribe. I put these out regularly. Best stuff on Netflix, best stuff across all the platforms, genre-specific lists like this one. No filler, just the shows and movies actually worth your time. Let me know in the comments which one you're planning to watch first, or if you've already seen any of these. I'd genuinely like to know what you thought. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.